350 million years before the great white shark, before the megalodon, before any creature we would recognize today, something else ruled the oceans. Its bite could shatter bone and armor alike. It had no true skeleton, yet it grew to the size of a modern killer whale. This was Dunkleosteus terrelli, a nightmare forged in the Devonian seas, an apex predator so perfectly designed for killing that it dominated Earth's waters for millions of years. Then, like so many ancient titans, it vanished without a trace. Tonight, we dive into the murky depths of deep time to resurrect this armored leviathan. We'll explore how it hunted, how it lived, and how modern science is rewriting everything we thought we knew about this prehistoric monster. A world beneath the waves. The late Devonian period, 375 million years ago. Earth is unrecognizable. The vast Panthalassic ocean dominates the planet, swallowing continents and islands in its endless blue expanse. On land, life is still finding its footing, literally. Spiraling forests of primitive horsetails and ferns stretch toward alien skies. Giant insects, some with wingspans exceeding 2 feet, buzz through humid air. There are no birds, no dinosaurs, no mammals. The first tetrapods, strange amphibian-like creatures, are just beginning their tentative exploration of terrestrial environments. These early pioneers crawl from freshwater streams on stubby limbs, feeding at water's edge before retreating to aquatic safety. Terrestrial animals are small, rarely exceeding 5 feet in length. The land is a frontier, dangerous and unexplored. But beneath the waves, life explodes with diversity and ferocity. Evolution has been experimenting with fish for over 100 million years, producing an astonishing array of forms. Armored placoderms patrol the depths, their bodies encased in bony plates. Gigantic lobe-finned fish lurk in murky waters. Primitive sharks test designs that will eventually dominate oceans for eons. This is the age of fishes, and the oceans belong to creatures that would seem utterly alien to modern eyes. Among them swims the undisputed king of the Devonian seas, Dunkleosteus terrelli, a predator so formidable that few creatures dare challenge him. Anatomy of a killer. Dunkleosteus belongs to the placoderms, a group whose name literally means plate head in Greek. These fish revolutionized vertebrate evolution by developing dense armored plates covering their heads and much of their bodies. This innovation allowed them to venture into open ocean environments where softer-bodied fish would be vulnerable. For nearly 100 million years, from the late Silurian through the late Devonian, placoderms dominated aquatic ecosystems. They diversified into hundreds of species, occupying every available niche. Some were broad and flat, like modern rays, hugging the seafloor. Others inhabited freshwater rivers and lakes, growing only a few inches long. But the oceanic placoderms, these were the giants. Some became filter feeders, straining plankton through specialized structures. Others, like Dunkleosteus, became apex predators, the most dangerous creatures in their environment. The first Dunkleosteus fossils, described in 1875, suggested a length of 15 to 18 feet, impressive by any standard. Later estimates in 1966 pushed that figure to nearly 30 feet. By 2009, some scientists proposed it could reach 33 feet, rivaling modern great white sharks. Then came 2023, and everything changed. New evidence, more rigorous analysis, and better understanding of placoderm anatomy revised the maximum length downward to just over 13 feet. While smaller than previously imagined, Dunkleosteus remained a formidable apex predator perfectly adapted to its environment. Its skull alone reveals the predatory lifestyle. Dense dermal armor protected the head, reaching 2 to 3 inches thick at the strongest points. This armor could absorb tremendous impact from prey struggling to escape or rival predators challenging for territory. In fossils, the skull appears monstrous, all sharp angles and brutal efficiency. But on the living animal, soft tissues would have softened these contours. The armor would have been less obvious, covered by skin and muscle. Because the rest of the skeleton is poorly preserved, placoderms had cartilaginous bodies that rarely fossilized. Reconstructions rely heavily on close relatives like Dunkleosteus. Modern depictions show a deep-bodied, shark-like fish with a triangular dorsal fin, long pectoral fins for maneuvering, and a tall tail fin for powerful swimming. Its eyes were positioned at the front of the skull, providing binocular vision for judging distances when pursuing prey. Pigmentation evidence suggests countershading, dark on top, lighter underneath. This camouflage pattern, common in modern ocean predators, made Dunkleosteus nearly invisible when viewed from above or below. The Guillotine Jaws. Dunkleosteus possessed no teeth. Instead, evolution had equipped it with something far more terrifying: self-sharpening bony plates that functioned like biological guillotine blades. These plates lined the upper and lower jaws, meeting with devastating precision. As Dunkleosteus fed, the plates ground against each other, constantly honing their edges to razor sharpness. Unlike teeth, which can break or wear down, these plates were virtually indestructible. Biomechanical studies reveal the true horror of Dunkleosteus's bite. Its jaw mechanism could generate between 4,000 and 7,000 newtons of force, comparable to modern alligators and hyenas. More impressively, it could open its mouth in just 50 milliseconds, one of the fastest jaw movements ever recorded. This lightning-fast opening created powerful suction, pulling prey toward those guillotine jaws before victims could react. Once within range, the jaws snapped shut with bone-crushing force, the bony plates slicing through armor, flesh, and bone with equal ease. This feeding mechanism allowed Dunkleosteus to exploit prey that other predators couldn't touch. Heavily armored placoderms, protected by thick bony plates, were vulnerable to Dunkleosteus's crushing bite. Ammonites, encased in spiral shells, could be cracked open like walnuts. Even fast-moving cartilaginous fish couldn't escape the suction-powered strike. Fossilized stomach contents provide direct evidence of Dunkleosteus's diet. Remains of smaller fish, including primitive sharks like Ortis, have been found. These discoveries confirm that Dunkleosteus was an active hunter, capable of pursuing and capturing swift prey, not merely a scavenger or ambush predator. The discovery. The story of Dunkleosteus begins in 1867, along the shores of Lake Erie in Ohio. Amateur fossil collector J. Terrell was exploring exposed rock formations when he discovered something extraordinary: massive fossilized plates unlike anything previously known. Terrell donated his finds to the Ohio Geological Survey, where paleontologist John Strong Newberry examined them. Newberry recognized them as belonging to a large placoderm fish, which he named Dinosaurs harari in 1873. The name meant terrible fish, an apt description for the formidable predator. For decades, Dinosaurs remained poorly understood. Only fragmentary skull material had been discovered, making reconstruction difficult. Then, in the early 20th century, more complete specimens began emerging from the Cleveland Shale Formation in Ohio. These discoveries revealed the true size and nature of this ancient predator. In 1956, paleontologist David Dunkel conducted extensive research on these fossils, clarifying their anatomy and relationships. In recognition of his contributions, the genus was renamed Dunkleosteus in 1956. Dunkleosteus terrelli, named for original discoverer J. Terrell, became the type species and remains the largest and best known. But the genus proved to have remarkable geographic range. Fossils have been discovered across the central United States, in Belgium, Morocco, Russia, Poland, and the northeastern USA. This wide distribution suggests Dunkleosteus was highly successful, occupying diverse marine environments across the ancient world. It wasn't restricted to specific regions, but ranged throughout the Devonian seas, adapting to various conditions and prey availability. Life in the Devonian seas. Imagine yourself transported 375 million years into the past, submerged in the warm, shallow seas covering what will one day become Ohio. Visibility is limited. The water is murky with sediment and organic matter. Sunlight filters down from above, creating shifting patterns of light and shadow. Around you, life teems in astonishing diversity. Schools of small fish dart past, their scales flashing silver. Primitive sharks patrol the middle depths, testing evolutionary designs that will eventually prove spectacularly successful. Ammonites spiral through the water, their tentacles extended to capture plankton. Then, from the murky depths, a shadow emerges. At first, it's just a darker patch in the gloom, but as it approaches, details resolve. A massive, deep-bodied fish, its head encased in armored plates, its beady eyes fixed forward with predatory focus. This is Dunkleosteus, and you are witnessing one of the ocean's most efficient killing machines in action. It moves with surprising grace for such a large animal. Powerful tail strokes propelling it forward. Its pectoral fins make constant adjustments, maintaining perfect balance and control. The Dunkleosteus has detected prey, a smaller placoderm, perhaps 3 feet long, feeding on the seafloor. The smaller fish is armored, protected by bony plates that would deter most predators. But not Dunkleosteus. The attack is sudden and devastating. With a burst of speed, Dunkleosteus closes the distance. Its jaws snap open in 50 milliseconds, creating powerful suction. The smaller placoderm is pulled toward those guillotine jaws, struggling futilely. The jaws slam shut with bone-crushing force. The smaller fish's armor provides no protection. Dunkleosteus's bony plates slice through the defensive plating, crushing internal organs. Within seconds, the struggle ends. Dunkleosteus tears chunks from its prey, the self-sharpening jaw plates making quick work of armor and flesh alike. This scene played out countless times across the Devonian seas. Dunkleosteus was an apex predator, sitting atop the food chain with no natural enemies once it reached adult size. Reproduction and life cycle. Recent research has revealed fascinating details about Dunkleosteus reproduction. Evidence suggests it may have been a pseudo-livebearer, similar to some modern sharks. Rather than laying eggs externally, females likely fertilized eggs internally, retaining them until young were sufficiently developed. This reproductive strategy offered significant advantages. Newborn Dunkleosteus would emerge already capable of swimming and feeding, rather than being vulnerable eggs or helpless larvae. However, even at birth, young Dunkleosteus faced dangers. Juveniles likely inhabited shallow, protected waters where food was abundant and large predators were scarce. Here, they would feed on smaller fish and invertebrates, growing rapidly. As they increased in size, they would venture into progressively deeper waters, accessing richer feeding grounds. This ontogenetic habitat shift, moving to different environments as they matured, is common among modern sharks and likely served similar purposes for Dunkleosteus. It reduced competition between juveniles and adults while allowing each age class to exploit optimal resources. Fossil evidence reveals that adult Dunkleosteus were aggressive and territorial. Many specimens show healed injuries consistent with bites from other Dunkleosteus. These wounds suggest violent confrontations, possibly over territory, mates, or food resources. Some scientists have proposed that Dunkleosteus may have practiced cannibalism, with larger individuals preying on smaller ones. While direct evidence is limited, such behavior would be consistent with modern apex predators, many of which are opportunistic cannibals. The Great Revision. For over a century, Dunkleosteus's size was a subject of ongoing debate and revision. Early estimates suggested 15 to 18 feet. Later reconstructions pushed that to 30 feet or more, making Dunkleosteus one of the largest predatory fish ever to exist. These estimates were based on comparisons with related placoderms and assumptions about body proportions. But in 2023, A comprehensive study challenged these long-held beliefs. Researchers conducted detailed analysis of all known Dunkleosteus specimens, comparing them with better-preserved relatives. Their conclusions were startling. Dunkleosteus terrelli likely reached a maximum length of just over 13 feet, significantly smaller than previously thought. This revision was based on more accurate understanding of placoderm anatomy and growth patterns. The news made headlines worldwide. Had Dunkleosteus been demoted from its status as a giant? Not exactly. Even at 13 feet, Dunkleosteus remained a formidable apex predator, larger than most modern sharks and perfectly adapted to dominate its environment. The revision demonstrates how paleontology constantly evolves as new evidence emerges and analytical techniques improve. What we know about extinct animals is always provisional, subject to revision as understanding deepens. This doesn't diminish Dunkleosteus's significance. If anything, it makes the animal more impressive. A 13-foot predator with bone-crushing jaws and armored head, capable of dominating Devonian seas. That's still a creature worthy of respect and fascination. The end of an era. For millions of years, Dunkleosteus and its placoderm relatives dominated Earth's oceans. They were the most successful, diverse, and widespread fish groups of their time. Then, approximately 359 million years ago, everything changed. The Devonian period ended with a mass extinction event, one of the big 5 extinction events in Earth's history. Over 75% of all species vanished, including virtually all placoderms. Dunkleosteus, the apex predator that had ruled for so long, disappeared forever. The causes of the late Devonian extinction remain debated. Climate change, ocean anoxia, asteroid impacts, and volcanic activity have all been proposed. Whatever the cause, the result was catastrophic for placoderms. Their ecological niches were filled by other fish groups: sharks, bony fish, and eventually marine reptiles. These groups would go on to dominate oceans for hundreds of millions of years, right up to the present day. But placoderms left a legacy. They were among the first vertebrates to develop jaws, revolutionizing feeding strategies. They pioneered armored defenses, explored diverse body plans, and conquered virtually every aquatic environment. Without placoderms, the evolution of all subsequent jawed vertebrates, including humans, might have taken a very different path. Dunkleosteus terrelli was one of evolution's most successful experiments, an armored predator with guillotine jaws, dominating ancient seas for millions of years. Though smaller than once believed, it remains one of the most formidable fish ever to exist. As research continues, we'll undoubtedly learn more about this remarkable creature. But one thing is certain: Dunkleosteus earned its place in the pantheon of prehistoric predators, a true titan of the ancient deep.